So, we have two dogs, a 3-year-old named Lola and a 3-month-old named Max. The problem that we've been having is that Max's food is delicious, and Lola has decided that she needs to eat Max's food, and Max wants to eat Lola's food. But regardless, the bigger problem is Max not getting his allotted amount of food because he's supposed to be a chonker. He's supposed to be growing and getting all that nutrition. So it's pretty important to us that he gets the right amount of calories on a daily basis. So what the kind of concept was to make a food bowl that he would have access to that Lola couldn't get access to, and then vice versa, be able to kind of flip it around if we needed to give Lola medicated food, or for whatever reason, like maybe had a friend's dog over that needed to get food that our dogs wanted to get access to or something like that. So basically, like kind of an access control food bowl.
Come. Good boy. Stay. You're okay. Max, come here. Good boy. You're okay. Right here. You're not to be trusted. Lola, come on. Come here. Come here. You're okay. Lola, come on. It's right up here. It's making noises now. Come here. Here you go. Good girl. Here you go, Lola. You're okay. Lola, what is that? What is this? There you go. Yeah, you're okay. How many peanuts is it gonna cost? What's the peanut cost? That's 3.
So the primary updates from the first version are that everything is pneumatically actuated now instead of electronically. I tried a variety of different servos. I tried a linear actuator. I tried just straight powerful DC motors. The problem is that that electric whir was always there. Whereas with pneumatics, like the open is basically perfectly quiet because it's a single acting cylinder, so there's nothing to exhaust. The closing is a little bit louder. It does spook the dogs a little bit, but honestly, that's all right. Because I don't want their snoots still in the bowl when it actually starts closing. So as you just saw right there, even just like one paw on there will keep the thing from closing. It's good. Get out of here. And so the point is so that it makes sure that basically, based on the pressure plate, nothing can be in there. But as a second form of safety, since it's a passive close, it has a very, very small amount of force on closing. And so even here with just my fingers, it's not going to cause any pain or injury, even if they decide to keep their snoots in there. As with before, basically it's looking for a particular weight. And so the pup is about 25 pounds. If I put 25 pounds on here, basically that's saying that it's registering the correct weight. And if that weight stays there for a second, it'll open up. Flashing, it flashes every time before it moves. I actually found that helps the dogs because it gives them kind of a notice that the movement is coming rather than all the movement all at once. The second really big change is the plate. Although this took a lot more work, the plate on top, it created a lot more apparent motion for the dogs, like right in front of their face, and so it spooked them a bit more. Whereas this one, since it slides out from underneath and it's over to the side, they kind of get a direct line of sight to the food, and one, being less loud, two, it kind of sliding out from underneath, it seems to frighten them a fair bit less. So as with the original prototype, one of the features of this is this kind of teach button. What it can do is, so right now it's trained for 25 pounds, but if I put 50 pounds, so this is about what my bigger dog weighs, it shoots past there, right? And so now it's not going to open up. But if I want to retrain this bowl specifically for her, so that it'll open up for her and not the pup, I can press and hold. And so now it's basically saying, this is the weight that's key to this dog bowl, so it'll open up when this weight is present, and only this weight. So, although it's going to wait until all the weight's gone to make sure that nothing's there to close on, now it won't work with just 25 pounds, whereas previously it did. And that persists through power cycles and all of that stuff, so basically. So now the pup's weight no longer triggers it. If I wanted to, I could just reteach it, but with the full dog's weight, then it'll open back up for her. The reason I'm using 2 weights instead of the 2 dogs is because with the original version, I didn't think to put rubber on the bottom of the weight plate. So on the bottom of here, I now have little rubber pads, and the reason is because the larger dog, she steps kind of probingly, and she pushed forward and it slipped, and the whole thing just kind of turned into chaos. And so she's been pretty suspicious of all the things I've been building ever since that was a couple days ago. She's slowly starting to warm up to this, but even during testing, she was much more suspicious of just kind of everything I was doing. She was kind of weighing whether or not the peanut butter was actually worth what I was asking her to do, whereas the pup kind of just charges forward and will just stick his snoot into about anything, and isn't nearly as easily startable. So the pup was actually okay with the original servo design. The twitch, I think the twitch still got him. It like slowly built up his anxiety until he decided he just didn't want to eat anymore. So this is definitely better that way because this has no twitch. And again, I think I could have fixed that in code or with a better power supply or something like that, but for whatever reason it was eluding me. The pneumatics, they're just completely quiet, and both valves are normally closed. So when I'm not acting on them, they kind of stay in that position. So it'll stay in that open position until I then add power to it. So yeah, Lola is warming up to it again. It's kind of like, technically the whole point of this is to keep Lola out of Max's food, but she's starting to get more curious, and it'll probably, with a couple days, and especially if she sees Max using it a lot, if ever we need to give her medicated food or something that we don't want Max to get to, it would be pretty easy to just kind of teach it for Lola's weight, and then Max will come in here and investigate but not get anything. Then when Lola needs to come by, she'll be able to get her food. So as you can see, the build is pretty different from the initial prototype. Everything's been converged to pneumatics. I have a small paintball tank going through a primary and a secondary stage regulator, 2 solenoid valves that are normally closed, and a flow constrictor going to a cylinder. As far as the mechanics of it, basically these are just little sandwiched pieces of Lexan. They kind of act as a bearing surface. It actually doesn't slide that well when it's this way because the wood creates so much friction, but when it's in the correct position, the Lexan plate rests against those slides, and so it actually slides with really, really little friction. Moves quite nicely. And then obviously here, to convert the linear motion, kind of had to pick a radius that would create the right arc length travel so that the door would fully open and the 2 inches of extension. Cylinder's kind of chonky. It's, I think, 1.25 inches, 1.5 inches, and it's running at 40 psi, so that's actually a ton of force. It's probably around 40 or 50 pounds. But again, since it's at only 1 inch lever arm, then out at where kind of the dogs would see it, it would be a small fraction of that, so probably less than 5 pounds. thanks for watching to the end of the video. If you have any questions about my build, or if you have suggestions on how I could do things better, definitely let me know down in the comments. I'm always looking to try to improve my making skills. I'm hoping to get a couple more videos up of my past projects, and then working towards a couple new projects on the horizon. So hopefully this will be the first of many.